All right, we are now recording. So we want to welcome all of you to our second grade parent information meeting and presentation. You will be able to access this recording on YouTube on Natomas Charter School's YouTube page by tomorrow. And we will also be emailing and sharing the presentation with you and the link to this recording. So that way you have access at any time. Once again, you can type questions in the chat bar. Just make sure if you have a personalized question, you'll reach out to the teacher or myself individually. And we'll go ahead and start with introductions. My name is Amy Kaler, and I am the coordinator for Star Academy, which if you're new to Star Academy, the coordinator is the principal of the school. And joining me today, I have Mrs. Donato and then the second grade team. So Mrs. Donato, do you want to say who you are?
Hi, I'm Francesca Donato. I'm the educational specialist for Star Academy. I've been with NCS for 9 years. I've had classroom teacher, and now I'm working with our special needs population.
And then first grade, who wants to start? Or not first grade, second grade.
I'm Susie Steinlein. I teach obviously second grade. This is my 3rd year in second grade and I love it. I'm so excited to get started. Take it away, Shayla.
All right, I am Shayla Mize. I'm also second grade. I'm in room D4 down at the very end by the garden. So I'll see most of you guys there. Very excited to see some familiar faces. Excited to get this crazy roller coaster ride going with all of you. So I'm very excited.
I am Taryn Rojas, and I am in D8, and I'm just very excited to eventually meet all of you and get to know you better and to get the school year started. Thank you for coming today.
Hi, and I'm the newbie. My name's Leslie Boffman, and this is my first year at Star Academy, and I'm very excited. I'm coming from Woodland Joint Unified, so just up the 5, so I'm very excited.
All right, so that is all the STAR staff that's joining us today that at least I can see in here at the moment. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I am going to load presentation mode, and we will go through our presentation and give you a bunch of information about what a day will look like in second grade. And then once again at the end, we will go through questions that you guys have, but feel free to type questions at any time in the chat bar. So this will take me just a second to switch over to the presentation.
You shouldn't need to do anything. When Miss Kaler projects, you'll be able to see it, so you don't need to touch or do anything on your screen. We can see it, Mrs. Kaler, so it's loading.
All right, so as I said, we're going to go ahead and go through what second grade will look like in the distance learning model. And then I'm going to start off with just some overall information for you, and then they will go into their plan. And then at the end, we'll have time for questions. So starting off, this year, our theme is Brave Leaders, Superstar Learners, which I think is very representative of this time that we are in that's very dynamic in the world. Our staff and teachers are really going to have to be brave and try new things in what they're doing and learning new formats of this virtual setting. And our learners, they're always superstar learners, and we're expecting them to continue to rise to that challenge and reach their fullest potential through a supportive structure. As we go through this year, teachers will be using strong instructional practices. All curriculum will be based on grade level standards for every academic area. One of the keywords that you're going to continue hearing all year is that we are going to be flexible because we are trying new things. We're figuring out what works, what doesn't work as well, and how to navigate to best support our students and families. We're also going to put a big focus on building our community through new ideas, and I'll go into that in a couple minutes, and then providing a stable environment for both our students and families. So you hopefully will notice the consistency as we go through walking you through the different stages, but today predominantly focusing on the distance learning model. So getting the school year started, Sorry, I'm admitting people at the same time, so I'm on another device too. We are going to be welcoming you back this next week. The 12th is technically the first day of school. However, this year it's going to look a little different. We need to make sure every family has the supplies they need and the technology they need and the information that they need to get going. So what we are going to be doing is have a meet the teacher / materials pickup between next week, Wednesday, August 12th and Friday, the 14th. Teachers will be setting up directly with the families in their classroom, individual appointments to come in and get a briefing on all the information you need to know. You'll also be picking up your technology. So for second grade, that's a Chromebook if you are needing that, and any of the materials that you might need. So from workbook type stuff to your supplies, crayons, pencils, and that kind of stuff. If you are not comfortable with coming in with an individual meeting, there will also be an opportunity to schedule a virtual appointment with your teacher and then do a drive-by pickup in our drop-off pickup line to get your materials that you'll be needing at home. Another thing that I want to make you aware of is within the first couple weeks of school, we will do assessments of all of our students. So for second grade, that will include the iReady diagnostic in both the areas of reading and math. In addition to, there could possibly be some one-on-one assessments depending on what the grade level needs to do. It's going to vary, but the teacher will let you know. And then another thing I wanted to note is that after our parent meeting about 2 weeks ago, one thing that I heard a lot about was parents needing flexibility within the day. We do have a very structured, regimented day, which is something that a lot of people requested, and the guidelines from the state are telling us that that's what we need to do. But we also hear our parents and understand that families are needing to do, like, support their family and have a job. So kind of finding that balance between there. So having flexibility, we know that lunches are at different times depending on your grade level. And with that, if you need to take a lunch at a different time than what second grade has, we will understand, but you'll still be responsible, or your child will still be responsible for the work during that time. So in Seesaw, there will be the upload of the assignments that they're supposed to do throughout the day and throughout the week. So if they miss something during the live instruction part, they'll still have access to it. There will be video recordings and the materials they need so they can still get the work completed and be given credit for doing their time that they needed to do and their assignment. So we're just trying to build that flexibility in. It will look a little different for each family. We highly encourage you the best you can to follow what the grade level is doing, but understanding that this is a dynamic time and you'll need to figure out how to best navigate this with your family and communicating to the teacher about what that will look like. The next thing is during the beginning of the school year, usually we always have a back to school night. This year, what we will be doing is a back to campus night. So when we switch to hybrid, when we find out that we will be going to be switching, we will set up at that time a back to campus night where we will give you a bunch of information about the hybrid model and what it will look like. Because right now we just want to focus on the distance learning model and not overwhelm you with information that might change as we're navigating this distance learning model, and we'll see, hey, this really works. So when we go into hybrid, this is what we'll do. So that date for the back to campus night is to be determined as we get more information and move into the different stages. Once again, technology, you will be picking that up during your individual appointment between August 12th and 14th. And then for donations and supplies, every year we ask for a donation of $35, which goes to the art classroom, $5 for art supplies, and then $30 goes to the classroom for the whole school year, for the classroom teacher in the grade level to get the supplies they need for the students. We do understand that this can be a very challenging time right now for families. So no matter what, whether you can make this donation or not, it's okay. We appreciate it, but it is not required. We will make sure that your student gets the supplies they need. They will be at the Meet the Teacher meeting at your individual appointment. Students, every student on Star campus will be receiving crayons, pencils, colored pencils, pencil sharpener, and erasers to get them going. And once we move into the hybrid model, we'll purchase another 600 sets of supplies for in the classroom, so they'll have what they need there. But once again, we would appreciate any donation if you can make that. My School Bucks, you can do make a payment virtually, or if you want to make a donation in person, you can always write a check to the office. But no matter what, your child will have the supplies they need, and we'll make sure that they have a successful year. So before the second grade team walks you through a day in second grade, I wanted to go over what we have created as a model for Natomas Charter School, and that's the Learn, Do, Connect model. And this helps let you know what the virtual time will look like. So when you're in the classroom and teachers are doing lessons, there's always the learn part where the teacher's teaching, then there's the do part where the students are applying that learning, and then there's the connect part where they show their learning by coming back, whether it's turning in an assignment, talking to the class, reading their writing, whatever it might be. So even when we're in this virtual virtual format, the teachers will still be using these three elements to have the students engaged in learning and showing their knowledge. So the learning portion, this is where the students connect, whether it's independently, as a small group, or a whole class, and they would connect either live or during recorded instruction, depending on what it is, in a subject matter. So whether it's reading, writing, math, science, social studies, and the teacher would be teaching the lesson. Even if it's on the recording, they would still walk them through the steps, teaching them the lesson. So they're engaging in that learning. Once they have done the learning portion, then they go into the do part. This is where the students are applying that learning that they just did and showing what they can do. So it's through guided practice, independent practice. They might be in small groups with the teacher, or they might be in breakout groups with other students. And that's where they're interacting through that learning that they're doing. And then the connect part is where they show that learning. So it might be the whole class comes back together. It might be in a small group and sharing out. If you were in writing, they might be submitting their writing for their day. So writing's a good example. Maybe they're learning about opinion writing. So the learning part, the teacher's teaching an opinion lesson about here's the elements that need to go into an opinion writing, and here's an example. Now you're going to go and do an actual opinion writing, and then you're going to come back and connect about it. So it might be reading it to your class. It might be submitting it. You might read a portion of it. It just depends on what the teacher is doing that day. And then for this portion, this shows the schedule for all of our grade levels. Second grade, no matter if we're in distance learning or we move into the hybrid model, the students will always start at 8:30 and they will always end at 2 p.m. with virtual office hours from 2 to 3:30. So I'm going to be handing it over to second grade to tell you between these times, between 8:30 and 2, what are the students actually going to be doing? So that way you can see what the expectation is and how we've set it up to make your second grader as independent as possible. In second grade, just let me know as you want me to change the slides.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so what it looks like in second grade, this is just a virtual map. It kind of looks cut off, Amy. Is it cut off for you?
I can see the whole thing.
Okay. Oh, you can see it all. Okay. Okay, so here are our three different schedules. We're just going to look for now at the full distance learning, which is on the far right. This is our daily schedule. And from 8:30 to 9 is our kind of our attendance check-in. We have our class meeting. It's kind of that piece where we all get to communicate to one another, and it's kind of just our family meeting. So that will always be live. They will be on Google Meets the whole time. From 9 to 10 is going to be our math block, and that is a partial live, which is going back to the slide that Amy just went over about they're going to be doing, depending on the size of the lesson, it's going to be about 15, 20 minutes of them doing it with us, and then we will send them off. So that is a partial live time. Our phonics block will be from 10 to 10:15 right before recess, and that will always be live as well. They will have a break from 10:15 to 10:30, so make sure that they use the restroom, they eat a snack. 10:30 to 11 is then our small group time, so that's going back to the partial live. We're only going to be meeting during that time with one group a day. So one group, it might be 5 students, the next day it might be another 5 students, and so on. And then everyone else will have some early finisher time. That'll be just kind of that catch-up time for your child. 11 to 11:40 is going to be specials. That will always be live with the specials teacher, whether it's Spanish, art, what am I missing? Spanish, art, what's our other one?
Club.
Yes.
Library.
Yes. And then, okay, after specials from 11 to 11:40, we go into our ready reading time from 11:40 to 12:20. That's going to go back to that partial live. That will be before lunch, and then lunch will be the 30-minute block of 12:20 to 12:50. There will be timers. We'll go over that in a minute. 12:50 to 1:30 is where we are going to do our writing block, and that will also be a partial live. And then our theme will also, depending on what we're doing with theme, that unit, it's going to be about a partial live to a live. It depends on what we're doing. So plan on them being in a live video of some sort from 1:30 to 2. And then that will go into our virtual office hours after that.
Okay, so that is basically, the slide you're seeing is the schedule broken down of what like a day would look like. And in the morning or the week before or the week of day of, we'll send out a slide for the kids to follow throughout the day. It'll start with this schedule so they know what times everything's happening. It'll be very consistent so they'll know what to expect. Amy, can you click the next slide?
Yes.
So yeah, the slideshow will have a slide for each part of the day. All the kiddos have to do is click through and join the link. So this is an example of Miss Mize's. The kiddo would just click here, type in the nickname, and then they're in our morning meeting. They made it. And there's a slide like that for every subject or every lesson for the day. I think you can switch. So this is what math might look like. Has a time at the top. It tells the kids what they're going to need so they can have that ready and to go. Then how to get to our lesson, they just click here. And then the task. So it says first, next, last. The last part is how they're connecting and showing us what they've learned and kind of fulfilling that lesson. Same thing, I click to this slide, it's phonics time, yay, click the link, you're doing phonics. And keep going, Amy. We put timers in for our breaks, so this would be like our typical recess. They can click that 15-minute timer, take a walk, eat a snack, go to the bathroom, wiggle, so their recess time. All right, click in. Shayla or Miss Mize is talking about small group. So we might meet with 4 or 5 kids a day. They'll know if they're with the teacher that day or if they're part of the everyone else group working on something independently. So your kiddo during that portion of the time might not have any lesson to click into, but they will have an activity to do. Keep going. That's for specials. So art, Spanish, library, Kind Kids Club. Same thing, looks just like math, what they're going to need, what they're going to do, and how they're going to show us what they learned at the end of the lesson. Lunchtime, 30-minute timer, so they can try and stay on pace. They don't eat through learning time. And then after that should be our writer's workshop, same thing, what they need, how they find our link to our lesson, and then what they're going to do for our last. And then I think the next one is our theme, and then And then they did it. The day is over. Yay.
All right. Then just to close out before we get into questions, social emotional support and connectedness is very important this year, and we realize that. So supports for our students in these areas, the Kind Kids Club will be every week for our students with Miss Hines, and she'll be working on different things for them. And then daily class meetings with the teachers. Every day there will be virtual office hours that are available for parents or students to meet with the teacher. We're going to have spirit weeks for everybody, for the whole school. We will have school-wide mindfulness skills that Miss Shane will be leading. And then Ms. Hines also offers counseling support through kind of consultation model is what I would say. So if your student needs support with something, she is there to support you. You can directly email her. On the family support end, we're going to have virtual parent nights where we are teaching you how to support your child. So it might be around math, language arts, it might be around how to use Seesaw, or how to use Schoology or iReady, or even Google Meets like what we're in right now. So you can help support your child at home, since we can support them, but we'll be limited somewhat because we're not in the house with you. So this is really going to be a team effort this year with families and the school. And we want to make sure that we're supporting you to the best that we can. Additionally, we're going to have virtual family nights that are fun, where everybody can get involved. We're going to be creative about those. Counseling support for parents. If you're having a hard time parenting your child or need some support, Ms. Hines is there for you for that too on a consult basis. You just email her directly, and she's happy to support you with resources or ideas, any of that you might need. Teachers will be emailing you weekly with updates for the class about information. I will continue to send out roughly bi-weekly emails. It sometimes is a little bit more often than that about the whole school and important dates and details that you might need. And then we're going to incorporate opportunities for regular feedback through both the teachers, the school, and then the charter. So you'll be having those because really we need to know what's working well, what is a challenge, and any questions that you might have, so that we can build the best possible environment for your child and your family. And then also one thing that we wanted to know was how you can help prepare your child for this school year. So one important thing that we are asking everybody to do is to make a workspace for your child. So creating a quiet, designated space that they'll go to within your house to learn. This space should have as few of distractions as possible. We know it's not always possible to have no distractions, but making sure they have some kind of a tabletop or desk or something that they can put their Chromebook on and their workbook stuff, because they'll be having their supplies that they need, manipulatives and all that. They need some kind of a comfortable chair to sit in, but it could be a creative chair. Some kids need the wobble stool. You might have one of those at home. Some need just a regular chair, but being considerate about where you put that and have it be comfortable for your child to be there to learn with the least amount of distractions. The next thing that we're asking is that you have your child practice wearing a mask and socially distance. Masks in second grade are not required. However, they're highly recommended, especially when we go back into this hybrid model. We need to keep COVID from spreading, because if we start getting an outbreak too much, we're going to have to close the school, and we don't want to have to close the school. And it's going to take all of us taking the precaution that we can. So if you can start working with your child on wearing a mask and not touching it, they get used to it. I see kids all the time now wearing masks. My niece, who is only 3, is able to wear her mask. She goes around, she knows it's supposed to be there and not touch it, and she does great. So it can be done. They just need it modeled for them, and they need the opportunity to practice. The other thing is practicing social distancing. What does it look like to be 6 or more feet away from other people? They need you to model that for them so they know what to expect when they come into the school. Because once again, this is going to be a team effort. The teachers aren't going to be able to do it all by themselves. And if you're practicing at home, that will make it much easier when they get into the classroom. Another important part during COVID is to be practicing washing our hands. Thinking about how long, they say about 28, 30 seconds, they need to be washing their hands. So singing the alphabet, counting to 30 or more. Using soap, appropriate amount of soap. We do not need the whole entire bottle of soap. That sometimes happens with our younger kids. And then drying our hands. We don't want water everywhere and everything else. So if you can be practicing that at home, which most of you probably are, and then start talking to your student about what to expect. This is going to be a different school year. And right now we're starting in distance learning. We hope to get into the hybrid model at some point in time. That's only going to have about half the kids on campus at that time, and letting them know so that they know what to expect, because that really lowers the anxiety of students. To know, hey, this is coming. This is what it might look like. And also letting them know that we need to be flexible. This year, things are going to change, and we don't know how much forewarning we're going to have as we move through the different stages. So we have to know that we have to be flexible, and letting them know that, because we don't want them to get attached to one thing and then something changes. So the more of that front loading we can do, the better. And then also talking to them about the importance of still making friends with others. And what does that look like in a social distancing model or a virtual model? And scheduling play dates that are virtual play dates, or when they come in, what can that look like? Because they need to still have those positive interactions with others. And we should do everything we can to support them with that. So now I'm going to go ahead and exit out of my screen sharing. And now we will have the opportunity to ask any questions. So if you have questions, go ahead and type them into the chat box, and then Mrs. Donato will start going through them for us. Looks like
Hey, Mrs. Kaler, I have a couple for you. Ms. Steinlein was helping me go through and answer the academic second grade specific ones. I have a question. One of the parents was asking about the My School Bucks donation. What is that titled for STAR? Because she was seeing a leading edge parent donation. She wasn't seeing ours.
So there is one in there for STAR. If you're not seeing it, contact Cindy or Mary in the front office, because there might be a wrong setting on yours. You also have to make sure, if you have pay for hot lunches, that goes through Natomas Unified, which you have to have there's a drop down, which I believe if you go to our school website and go into the My School Bucks, I believe there's some screenshots about it, and you have to toggle between the two. So I believe that Leading Edge might be that same way, but Mary or Cindy can walk you through that if you need help with that, if you're not seeing it. It's somewhere at the top, though, in the corner.
Okay.
But it should say Star Academy, and then it should say donations, and then you would click there.
Okay. So we had a question about lunch, and I know I've heard you explain it a couple of times today. Can you talk about the flexibility if you have a second grader who has lunch at a certain time? Because all of our lunch times are aligned for when we do go back in person. So can you explain to the parents the flexibility they have about students and their lunches at this point?
Sure. So lunches, depending on, let's say you have a 5th grader and a 2nd grader, they're not going to have lunch at the same time. So what you're going to need to do is you can either have your kid take the lunch at the time that theirs is, or if your whole both kids need to take lunch at the same time, you're going to need to pick a time, whether it's the 2nd grade time, the 5th grade time, or sometime in between, but they'll still be responsible for the work that they're missing. So you can leave and not be there during that time, but you'll have to log back into Seesaw to see the work that they missed, or whatever, whether it was a piece of instruction and then there's a video recording, or if there's an assignment It will say in there what it is that they missed. That's why these slides will help you to be able to see that. So they just need to be able to make up that work. So maybe you want to do it in the evening. You could do it in the evening, that's fine. You just need to submit it at the time that you're able to get there. Does that make sense?
Amy, can I add to that a little bit?
Sure.
Especially if you're in my class and you're asking that question, just email me directly and we'll work on a time that would work best for everyone, because we want to make it as easy as possible for you guys. So we'll work around schedules. So just if you guys are in my class, just reach out to me and we'll work on something.
So second grade team, if we have working parents, do they just that do not have a particularly flexible schedule, they just need to email you about the pickup times for supplies? So is that just your suggestion, get in touch with the classroom teacher?
Yes.
We'll be sending out schedules for parents to sign up, but if you have a specific request, such as I saw a question in the chat, please reach out to your classroom teacher and let them know this is my situation. This is the time that I can meet, and we'll try to make, even if it's one evening where we stay late and we can do that, then we can do that. We do have to make sure that it aligns with janitorial and who closes up the school, and that it's within proper hours, but at least reach out and we can see what we can do to accommodate.
Okay, thank you. I just want to get these two last questions to Mrs. Kaler, and then we'll go back to the curriculum questions for the second grade team. I have a question about a new student to STAR and getting them. Is there anything specific they need to do, Mrs. Kaler, about emails or technology? I think they're concerned about the technology piece and receiving the technology. So they should have gotten the same email that went out.
They should have received the email from Laura, and then I'll also be sending an email on Friday once again with the form for the technology survey, and you can click on that and request the technology that you need. And then your email account will come through your teacher. They'll get that information out to you. So when you set up your appointment, at that time, you'll get your information for your email account.
So Mrs. Kaler, they're looking at the school bucks and they're seeing an option that says fundraising.
Yes, that's fine. That one works.
Okay. Also, we have one question about hybrid. When parents are asking about how much time when we return to the hybrid if we return to the hybrid model, how much time do they have to decide to participate or continue to distance learn?
So that's a really good question. So, and I'll give you a couple different, we're hoping to have a lead of at least a week to be able to transition. In that time, we will be sending out to parents, which model are you going to be picking? Do you want to stay full virtual or do you want to go into hybrid? If you choose to go into hybrid and you go 2 days and then you decide, wait a minute, I don't feel comfortable with this, I want to go back to distance learning, you'll be able to do that. So there's flexibility within there. Or if you are on, let's say we're going into hybrid, you decide you want to stay on distance learning, and then after a few days or a few weeks, you decide you want to go into the hybrid model, you will reach out to us and we'll be able to put you in one of those 2 tracks. And you would be able to come in. But we would need a little bit of leeway time if we're already in hybrid model. But you'll kind of be able to go in or out of them. But keep in mind, that's going to make a challenge for teachers. So to the best of your ability, if you can be consistent, we would really appreciate it. But we know that people's comfort level is going to depend on navigating through this. And it's going to probably be, let's try it out, and maybe aren't comfortable with it, or vice versa. So you will have flexibility to it. But I believe we're once again hoping that we'll know a week ahead of time so teachers can start adjusting to the hybrid piece. Uh-oh, somebody's taking over my screen. There we go. Okay. So at least a few days hopefully a week, you'll have the chance to make that decision.
Okay. Second grade team, we have parents asking if they're using their own technology, what are the must-have apps that they should download or have prepared for being ready to start distance learning? I would imagine Seesaw, but
Seesaw, Google Meets, like what we're on right now. iReady.
Oh,
that's a good one.
I'm not sure.
If they're using an iPad, that's where the apps come in. If you're using a laptop, it should be fine to be able to follow along with the slides and click all links, and everything should be fine. So the apps would only apply to those that are using the iPad. Personally, I recommend a Chromebook or some type of laptop in lieu of an iPad, simply because those are skills that we would like second graders to start practicing, as Chromebook is what we're using from second grade for the rest of their education. So if possible, if you are in need of a Chromebook, an NCS Chromebook, please fill out that survey from Laura Burial. That's really, really important.
As well as their Gmail accounts. So if you get a chance this weekend, go on Google and show them the ropes of Google Slides, Docs, email. We're going to use Google Meet. Those are the main ones, right? Yeah, I think that's the main one.
And we're planning on working with them on learning these skills as well. This is new to everybody and maybe to you as well. So it's totally okay if you are a little bit uncomfortable with it. We're going to be really working with the students and making that a priority at the beginning of the year, of showing them the ins and outs of Google Meet and slides and things like that as well.
Another question about technology. It said that Laura had sent an email on the 3rd with a tech sign up. If they did this prior, will they need to do this again? Or is your email just going to be a reminder?
Mine's just a reminder. So if somebody didn't receive Laura's, it's just giving you another opportunity to click on it and fill it out.
Okay. I'm seeing the question about the 12th, starting on the 12th, and students who are new. I would recommend to the parent who asked that last question, contact your classroom teacher, because they'll have the email for their student. And those days on the 12th, 13th, and 14th, the teachers are going to be individually meeting with families, and you'll be able to pick up technologies. And when you meet with your child's classroom teacher, they'll be able to assist you with that. If you do not have that personal device, and many of our students won't until the 12th or even the 14th, school's full instruction is starting August 17th. So they're not going to be missing things. So you don't need to worry about that. The teachers will have whatever they need, and that's something you don't need to stress out about. We'll be ready on the 17th to roll out full instruction. And second grade team, if the parents are finding that their students are struggling or having a hard time with the do part of their lessons or some of those independent tasks, what should they do to get in contact with you? And there's opportunities. I know that you'll have small group. What else? Is that during that virtual office hour?
Yeah. So definitely that would be an office hour time. So you could sign up for a meeting during our office hours, and we can work with your child on that due portion if they're needing support. Also, we're going to be running small groups once a day. So during their small group time, that'd be a great time for us to figure out, like, oh, hey, you don't understand this. We're going to help you right there. So yeah, always reach out if your child is struggling, because it'll be harder for us to know. So you will have to be our eyes for that.
The primary source, my mic is on, yeah. Okay. The primary source for support is during those office hours. The small group time is more so for academic. Later, there are times where we'll use it for guided reading. So it's not necessarily a time where we're going to answer a bunch of questions from writing and reading and math. That's more dedicated to a specific lesson plan that us teachers have designed for that time. Whereas office hours are the time for the question, and that will be by signing up so we can figure out who needs more support. those office hours are the best support time for those who need just a little bump or support, or they're just not quite getting it. Office hour times.
Okay, so our official, the 12th through the 14th are the pickup and supplies and meet with the teacher, and 17th is the day, that Monday, you need to be prepared for full instruction. On the slideshow, our second grade times again are from instructions 8:30 to 2, correct?
Yes.
That's our day, and then from 2 to 3:30 are the office hour times. We only have a couple more minutes, and I'm just trying to make sure that I'm seeing Google Meets will work with the Chromebook students had last year, so there's not a problem with that. I'm double checking. Mrs. Kaler, were families supposed to turn in the Chromebooks to get updated, or will they be able to utilize the Chromebooks that they had last school year without any problems?
They can use the Chromebooks that they used last year. I thought that the IT department reached out to the families who have them at home right now, but I could be wrong. You can always email IT, which is linked in some of the updates that came out if you have any problems with it. Otherwise, I would just plan to keep the laptop that you have, the Chromebook that you have.
Ms. Rojas, if a student is in a math lesson, for example, and you taught your math lesson and they were supposed to do an independent practice and they are just completely unable to do that, what should a parent do? What step should they take?
So my advice would be to go and look at the recording. Each lesson will have a recording, so go back and look at the lesson one more time. If then you're still not able to support yourself and they're still not getting the concept, please sign up for an office hour. And we'll go over that again when we have our one-on-one meetings of how to do that, what it looks like. We'll be doing lots of practicing. There is no expectation that you know exactly what that looks like right now. We'll scaffold that for you as well as a parent and for the students.
And anything, if you're having any other specific questions at this point, I know Mrs. Kaler and I have to jump into the next grade level meeting, but you'll be able to directly contact your child's teacher and they'll be able to give you any kind of support. Their second grade is providing live lessons for different topics, and they'll be able to tell you more specifically what they're going to do. And then I say Google Meets is the primary push out model. You'll be using Seesaw, yes, and iReady. So those are kind of the focus things for right now, and the team will communicate any additional needs or technology pieces. And then the final question I think they're asking is, when can they expect to sign up for the teacher meet with the teachers next week?
So to answer those last couple of questions, will there be a recording available each day? There will be a recording of the lessons. However, some of the recordings might not include the class discussion. So if you would like your student to be included in the actual class instruction time, where we're having discussions, talking about things, diving a little bit deeper, they should be part of the partial live instruction at the beginning, I'd say 10 to 15 minutes. If they are not able to attend that, there will be a recording of instruction, but not the discussion. So please make sure if possible, please be a part of the live instruction to get the full lesson with discussion with other peers. For signing up for the meeting for Meet the Teacher next week, the 4 of us classroom teachers will send that out in our update to you, and that will give full instruction. We don't have that as of right now, but we will be sending that to you directly.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and end the stop the recording. This recording, once again, will be uploaded to YouTube by tomorrow. We will also send or share the presentation with you. You'll actually receive them for every single grade level. And then there will be a lot more information coming out from me and from the teachers in the next couple of days. Once again, feel free to reach out directly to the teacher or myself. We hope that this gave you a good picture overview of what a day in second grade will look like, to kind of inform you of how we're trying to build independence in for your child. So hopefully you don't have to be standing there with them the whole time. And we appreciate you and thank you for your time. Okay.
Thank you so much, parents. You got this.